and participants who's joining today. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to International Seminar on Community Engagement Ideas and Practices organized by Academic of Language Studies, Universiti Teknologi, Cawangan Johor, Malaysia, in collaboration with English Education Department of Tarbiyah and Teacher Training, Faculty UIN Alauddin, Makassar. First of all, let's pray and thanks unto our God, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, who has given us time and mercy so we can attend and gather in this virtual meeting without any obstacles. Secondly, may peace and salutation always be given to our great Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who has brought us from the darkness to the brightness, from the Jahiliyah era to the Islamic era like we're living now. Let's start the whole series of our agendas today by reciting Basmalah together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Well, ladies and gentlemen, our next agenda is praying together and will be led by Brother Toto Gunawan. The time provides you.
Cek. Cek.
Ada orang Malaysia di sini kah? Ada orang Malaysia di sini kah?
Okay. Let us for a moment take the time to pray to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. With this, hopefully Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala will give us the convenience of carrying out this event. For those of other religions, please adjust to their respective beliefs. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Hamdan syakirin, hamdan yuafi ni'amahu wa yukafil mazidah. Ya Rabbana lakal hamdu kama yanbaghi li jalali wajhikal karimi wa azimi sultanik. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbana ighfir lana wa liwalidayna wa li jami'il muslimina wal muslimat wal mu'minina wal mu'minat al ahya'i minhum wal amwat. Innaka ala kulli syai'in qadir. Allahumma iftah lana abwabal khair wa abwabal barakah wa abwabal ni'mah wa abwabal rizki wa abwabal quwwah wa abwabas sihhah wa abwabas salamah wa abwabal afiyah wa abwabal ilmi wa abwabal jannah birahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Ya Allah, ya Rahman, ya Rahim, all praise and thanksgiving we extend to your presence for all the grace and gift that you have bestowed and all the blessing that you have given us. At this time, you meet us at the event International Seminar on Community Engagement Ideas and Practice. For that, Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, make this event an event that you have blessed. You have given your rahmat, you have given your tawfiq and guidance, so that this event runs smoothly and brings blessing and benefit to us. Ya Allah, Ya Karim, may you make the momentum of this event a way for us to increase our knowledge and establish our brotherhood with each other. Rabbana ighfir alayna, Rabbana afrik alayna sabra wa thabbit aqdamana wansurna 'alal qaumil kafirin. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azaban nar. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallim. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wa salamun alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Thank you to Brother Toto Gunawan who has led us to pray in this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to the next agenda, that is welcoming speech by the Head of Academic of Language Studies, Universiti Teknologi, Cawangan Johor, Malaysia, Puan Haryati Ahmad. The chair recognizing you.
Thank you, the chair. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Good morning and assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. to Dr. Muhammad Rusdi Tahir, MG, MAG, the Deputy Dean of Universitas Islam Negeri Alauddin Makassar, Professor Dr. Randa Hajah Siti Aziza, MED, ST, PhD, the Head of English Education Department, Faculty of Education and Teacher Training, UIN Alauddin Makassar, Dr. Siti Nur Fahmi, the Secretary of English Education Department, Faculty of Education and Teacher Training, UIN Alauddin Makassar, Dr. Surliah Nur, SPD, MHAM, MED, the Lecturer of English Education Department, Ms. Multazam Abu Bakar, SS, MHAM, also a Lecturer of Education Department, Faculty of Education and Teacher Training, UIN Alauddin Makassar, Dr. Noridah Sain, the Co-Program Chair for today's International E-Seminar, my colleagues from Akademi Pengajian Bahasa, Universiti Teknologi Mara, and students from both UiTM Cawangan Johor and UIN Alauddin Makassar. First and foremost, I would like to congratulate both the committee, organizing committees from UiTM and UIN Alauddin Makassar for successfully organizing today's event. I think the two committees had done a very good job because they took a very short time to come up with this particular seminar. And I would also like to thank them, the organizing committees, for giving me the opportunity to say a few words for today's event. I am actually very thankful and very grateful that today we are having our first collaborative effort since the MOU signing between the two universities on the 22nd of September this year. So I really believe that this is going to be our first of many collaborative projects. For your information, our collaborators from Universiti Islam Negeri Alauddin Makassar, here at UiTM Cawangan Johor, we have a program under Akademi Pengajian Bahasa, and the program is LG120, Diploma in English for Professional Communication. So the students who are presenting for today's seminar and Wednesdays, okay, they are all from this particular program. For LG 120, Diploma in English for Professional Communication, the students are actually taking about 33 courses, ranging from grammar, literature, proofreading and editing, translation. And okay, for the final year students, they are also taking ELS 303, Community Engagement for Professional Development. Okay, so together with this course, Community Engagement for Professional Development, they are also taking some other elective courses that lead them to do some community services. Therefore, they are exposed to the benefits of community engagement. Okay, the benefits actually can include creating local networks of community members. And today, with this international seminar, it can also help them to actually create international networks, yeah, of community members. Another benefit is improving their knowledge and problem-solving skills and empowering and integrating people from different backgrounds. Ladies and gentlemen, for today, from UiTM Johor, we are having final semester students presenting experiences and ideas, doing community engagement projects. With the exchange of ideas and experience, I hope this international seminar would enrich the students from UiTM Johor and also from UIN Alauddin Makassar with further ideas and experience for the future. As I said earlier, this is our first collaboration So I look forward to more collaboration between the three universities in the future. So we'll sit together and discuss more on this. Okay, hopefully we can have a lecturer exchange and maybe even student exchange in the future. And this is just an informal invitation to my colleagues in UIN Alauddin Makassar. In March, Akademi Pengajian Bahasa is March 2023. Akademi Pengajian Bahasa is organizing Halalpreneurship, Malaysian practice and experience. It is an international webinar, and we are informally inviting students from UIN Alauddin Makassar to participate in our webinar. And of course, formal invitation will be given soon. I think with that, I would like to thank the committee, the organizing committees again, for having done a great job to realize today's event. And I hope to see you in the near future. With that, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much for Puan Haryati Ahmad from UiTM Johor, Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, we move to the next agenda, that is welcoming speech by the head of English Education Department, Tarbiyah and Teacher Training Faculty, UIN Alauddin Makassar, Professor Dr. Haja Siti Azizah, MED, SD, PhD. The time provides you.
Thank you, the moderators. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And good morning, everybody. Yeah. Dear Puan Haryati Ahmad, the head of Study Center, Academy of Language Studies, UITM Cawangan Johor, and Dr. Nur Ida Said, person in charge of International Seminar on Community Engagement and ADSM Practice, and Puan Dia Widiawati Ahmad, lecturer in charge Community Engagement for Professional Development, and Dr. Nurmala Sulaiman, subject lecturer for Community Engagement for Professional Development. And also dear Dr. Siti Nur Fahmi, dear Dr. Muhammad Rusdi Tahir, the Deputy Dean of Tarbiyah and Teacher Training of UIN Alauddin, and also there's the Miss Dr. Serlia Nurs, lecturer in charge for this community services, and also Miss Multasam Abu Bakar, also the lecturer in charge for this activity. And also here there are a lot of lecturers who participate to join as observers in these events, and Dr. Ulfiani Rahman, Dr. Wahyuni Ismail, and Dr. Miss Mardia, and also I see also Dr. Who is this? Yeah, I think there are a lot of there are some lecturers who join this activity, including Miss Eka and Dr. Muhammad Yahdi, and welcome. And dear all students from both UITM and UIN Alauddin Makassar who join this program, and both the presenter and the participants. Dear all ladies and gentlemen, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah Alamin, wa bihi nasta'in ala umuri dunia wa din, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, la nabiyya ba'dah. Alhamdulillah, praise to Allah who has given us health and opportunity so we can gather, we can attend this seminar of community engagement held by the two universities of UITM Cawangan Johor, Malaysia, and UIN Alauddin Makassar, Indonesia. Peace and salutation to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam with his family member and sahaba. Dear ladies and gentlemen, This seminar collaboration of ITM and UINAM initiated by the two close friends, Puan Haryati Ahmad and I myself, Prof. Siti Aziza. The initiation of making this collaboration actually starting from the middle of 2021. Then December last year, we seek for the signing of the memorandum of understandings, and then Alhamdulillah, September 2000 last September, the signing of memorandum of understanding already happened, and then after that, in the short times, we initiated the first meetings, the first activity, and this is the, we can say, the piloting activity of this collaboration, and then about e-seminar for community or exchange student in community engagement practice, idea and practices. Yeah. So this today, this is a 2-day seminar starting from today, Monday, 12 December, and Wednesday, and 14 December 2022. So we hope these seminars run well. And this seminar, actually the presenters are all students. So this is the student from both university, both UITM and UIN Alauddin. So from UIN Alauddin, from English Education Department UIN Alauddin, those who will participate, who already participate or attended the community engagement practices. So both we call PLP, also the teaching practice in school, and community services in community for KKN, and also other community services. So, and this is will be 4 groups, so 2 groups for today and 2 groups for the others, as well as from the University of UITM. We hope this seminar will give a valuable contribution for the development of our university, especially giving chance to our students to exchange ideas and practices for the community engagement. As the representative of UIN Alauddin, we ask you to apologize if any mistake in this collaborative activity, and we hope this seminar running well, smoothly. And at the end, I say, wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you to the head of English Education Department, Prof. Aziza, for your welcoming speech. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all our agendas for opening ceremonies of this event. And the next, it is hoped that all participants will not move from their seats, because as soon as possible, we are going to watch presentation from UIN Alauddin Makassar and also UTM Johor, Malaysia. And I give the opportunity for the presenter to prepare your PowerPoint first before we are going to presentation session. Baik, okay, for the first presentation, I give the opportunity for students from UIN Alauddin Makassar, Sister Eka, etc. to present their material. And I remind you, every presenter only have 30 minutes to present their material, including question and answer session. The time provides you.
Check. Okay. Thank you very much for the Master of Ceremony. The Honorable of Professor Dr. Haji Siti Aziza MAD ST PhD, as the head of English Education Department, Faculty of Education and Teaching Training, UIN Alauddin Makassar. The Honorable of Puang Haryati Ahmad, the head of Academy of Language Studies, Universiti Teknologi Mara, Cawangan Johor, Malaysia. The Honorable of Dr. Muhammad Rusdi M.Ag, as the Vice Dean of Faculty of Education and Teacher Training, UIN Alauddin Makassar. The Honorable of Dr. Siti Nurfahmi SPD MPD, the Secretary of English Education Department, Faculty of Education and Teaching Training, UIN Alauddin Makassar. The Honorable of Dr. Serliah Nur SPD M.Hum MED, as the Lecturer of English Education Department, Faculty of Education and Teaching Training, UIN Alauddin Makassar. The Honorable of Multazam Abu Bakar SS M.Hum, as the Lecturer of English Education Department, Faculty of Education and Teacher Training, UIN Alauddin Makassar. The Honorable of the Lecturers of Academic of Language Studies, Universiti Teknologi Mara Cawangan Johor, Malaysia, and to all participants, both Universiti Teknologi Mara Cawangan Johor, Malaysia, and UIN Alauddin Makassar. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And good morning. First, let us give thanks and let us extend to God Almighty, for it has granted us healthy, safety, and opportunity, so we can gather in this international seminar on community engagement ideas and practice that organized by Academic Language Studies Technology, Universiti Teknologi Mara Cawangan Johor, Malaysia, in collaboration with English Education Department of Tarbiyah and Teacher Training Faculty, UIN Alauddin Makassar. Second, do not forget to send our greetings and salawat to our Prophet Muhammad SAW, who has brought us from the darkness into the lightness era. Well, before I start my presentation, let me say thank you very much for having me and giving me this nice opportunity, so I can join in this international seminar. Of course, for sharing my experience with the recent process of developing community engagement ideas. For the next, allow me to introduce myself. So my name is Eka Audiatiasa. I'm a student of English Education Department of UIN Alauddin Makassar on 7th semester. In this opportunity, I will present my experience with the topics about pre-service teaching, or in Indonesian language, we call it PLP. So let's start it. Next. Thank you. So what is pre-service? What is PLP? As you see on the screen, that pre-service serving teaching, or PLP, is the process of observation and training that carried out by the students of the Bachelor of Education program to study aspects of learning and management of education in schools. It is a program of education science designed to train the teacher candidates to master overall and integrated teacher skills. As you know, that pre-serving teaching or PLP is focused on how the teacher candidate can create their creativity in teaching teacher skill. So what is the purpose of the pre-serving teaching or PLP? As we know that PLP or pre-serving teaching is focused on how the teacher candidate can manage the class management in a school. So PLP aims to build a foundation for the educator identity and strengthen educational academic competence and fields of the study accompanied by critical thinking skill and higher order thinking skills. So PLP is the place of the teacher candidates to manage their knowledge, to create their creativity in teaching the students in a class. Next. Well, in addition to this information, the Tarbiyah and teaching training faculties have a new program in pre-serving teaching. The program is called National Pre-Serving Teaching and Regular Pre-Serving Teaching. It means that there are students who carried out the PLP or pre-serving teaching in Makassar and carried out PLP outside in Makassar. And for this opportunity, me and with my partner as a representative PLP practitioner in National Pre-Serving Teaching. So pre-serving teaching was held for the National Pre-Serving Teaching was held from July 24 of 2022 until September 10, 2022. It took place at Surakarta's Al-Mukmin Ruki boarding school in Central Java, Indonesia. The teaching activities are centered on one school foundation that called Al-Mukmin Ruki Boarding School of Surakarta. So our place in practicing teaching is on the boarding school that called Al-Mukmin. As you know that I'm not alone there, I was not alone, but I with my partner, as you can see on the picture, we are a team. We are a team of 6. The Olaf is English Education Department student in 2019. So what were we doing there? So it will be carried out. It will be continued by my partner, Sister Rizka Amalia. So I think that's all for me. Thank you for your nice attention. I give next to the next speaker. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for giving me this opportunity. So let me introduce myself. I'm Rizka Amalia. I'm the student of English Education Department. So I would like to continue the presentation. So there are several activities carried out during the pre-serving teaching or PLP. So there are 4 blocks and 1 final practical exam, teaching exam. So in the first block or block 1, there are it's observation called observation. So it's the introduction to the specific school or the class that will be taught later. And in this block, we were not involved in the teaching or class activity, but we only observed the way the teacher teaching the class. And as we observed, we found out that the teacher used a teacher-centered approach, especially audiolingual method or audiolingual model with a repetition system. So that's for block 1. And next is block 2. It's the capacity of 25% to 75%. So practicants handle the class for 25%. That consists of the opening of the class and the closing of the class. So we practicants prepare the class, and then in the end we close the class and give some evaluation to the students that has given the material by the teacher. And for the 75% that handled by the teacher handled the main activity by deliver the material and do some exercises. And as we observe in this block 2, during the activity, we felt that learners were less enthusiastic. When receiving material from the teacher, and most of them didn't pay attention and were busy with some other activities. As we found that there were learners or students that we found doing another subject during another assignment, while the English lesson was still going on. And we also found that learners understood better if the teacher explained certain terms by using Arabic, because the school is like Islamic boarding school, so it's may be understood because they use Arabic more often than English in their daily activities. So we practicants will make them think that English is fun to learn and make a creative interactive class. So in the block 3, with the capacity 75% to 25%, and we practicants handle the class 75%, where the teacher handled the class for 25%. That means the teachers only open and close the class, and we handle the main activity of the class. And before that, we made a lesson plan. This block, and there are some resources that we use. We use a course book as well as a YouTube video, and then the media that we use are LCD, PowerPoint, and also the lottery paper. So in this block, we applied discovery learning method, and
Bentar sekali mengedit itu sama. Iya. Sama.
We observed that as they learned, the students' enthusiasm and desire to study were increased. Their response during the class was very good, and they tend to be more active in the class. So that's for the block 3, and next is block 4, 1700%. So it's the teaching mode where the practicants without any division handle 100% of the class without division part-time with the teacher. And as the previous block, we also use a discover learning method, because we think this method suits the material, and the learners tend to enjoy the method that we apply. And that's for block 4. And next is the practical teaching exam. So it's same with this 90-100%, but when we take the class from the start to the end, but in this practical teaching exam, we record the video, we record the process from the start to the end to as the assessment for the lecturer, because we have distance. So yeah, that's for practical teaching exam. And the last but not least is focus group discussion. So this focus group discussion is during this PLP process, we conducted an evaluation process for the teachers as well as for the lecturers, and to each block. So each block has a focus group discussion, and this activity for the teacher we have done in offline mode, because yeah, we are in their school, and for the lecturer because we are in the distance, so we were doing Zoom meeting with the lecturer. So I think that's all from the national preserving teaching. And for the next material will be delivered by my sister Nur Kolbi. So for Sister Nur Kolbi, time is provided.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. I am Nur Kolbi from English Education Department. I'm a regular. So what is PLP? Same with PLP National. PLP is the process of observation and apprenticeship carried out by students of the Bachelor of Education program to study aspect of learning and management of education in school. It is a program in education science designed to train teacher candidates to master overall and integrated teacher skills. So in our faculty, there are two PLP, PLP1 and PLP2. In PLP1, we only focus to learn aspect and management in schools. But in PLP2, we share our knowledge, we teach the students. And what is the purpose of PLP? PLP aims to build a foundation for educator identity and strengthen educators' academic competence and fields of study accompanied by critical thinking skills and higher order thinking skills. Yes, in the PLP, we really improve our critical thinking because we meet with the students, and if they have questions, we must improve our critical thinking to solve their question, to answer their questions. Okay, next. Next, please.
Colby, I think. Oh yeah.
Okay, so when the PLP regular start in Tuesday 9 September 2022 and Tuesday 9 August 2022 and October 6 October 2022. So around 60 days. So where the location is in Makassar, so Sulawesi, Indonesia, in MTSN 1 Kota Makassar. And that's my partner, and as you can see in the picture. I am and my friends. The members are 7. Okay, next. Okay, in the first, we do observations, like same with the PLP regular. We observing the way the teacher teach in the classroom. And in block 2, we do 25 and 75%. Practical handle the class 25%, and the teacher handle the class 75%. And ice breaking was given when the lack of intuition and focus during the class. Next, please. and 75% and 25%. The party can handle the class 75% and the teacher handles the class 25%. In the block 3, we also have a meeting with the English teachers and we talk about a special event that we want to make in the school. And next is block 4, that is 100% full teaching made by the students without any division of part-time teaching with the teacher. And ice breaking was given and applied a teacher-centered approach and also discussions in the class. And the other weeks we do for make a report. And there are also focus group discussions. Same. In focus group discussions, we talk about what we do in every week and we tell our struggle in the class, anything, and the teacher from the school and the lecturer from our university will give a solution so we can improve our teaching skill in every block. So next, please. Okay, as I said before, there are a special event that we make collaboration between English education students in Alauddin Makassar with the teacher from MTSN Satu Kota Makassar. So we make English Day, that is an event. Next, please. Okay, so what we do in English Day activities, the first, we make the students then based on their class and we divide it into 3 groups based on their grade. So in the first grade, there are 2 class. In the second grade, there is 1 class, and in the 3rd grade, there is 1 class. So the next activity, there are 3 guides. So every guide will guide the 3 group. Go around the
Sorry,
first.
Sister Nurkolbi.
Yes.
Just to remind you, you just have only 5 minutes left to present your material, and we move to the next session, that is question and answer.
Okay, yeah, I see. Okay, and the guide will tell them about Fort Rotterdam, historical and anything. Next, please. And the next, the student divided into 10 groups and give them new material. We give them descriptive text and simple present tense, and they will give a task for them. And next, we invite the native speaker from USA, and she tells her a story and play a game. Next. And after the play game, the winner announcement. There are 11 announcement, winner announcement. Okay, next. Okay, this is the short video about the English Day event.
Dia dapat attendance form, dia kat disconnect. Macam mana nak minta balik attendance form tu? Oh, you share kat WhatsApp.
Actually, there is a music, but maybe. Okay. Okay. Next, please. Okay, that's all from our presentation. We do apologies for any mistake and thank you for all of your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you to the presenter, the first group presenter from UI and Alauddin Makassar, who has been present to us about pre-service teaching, or in Indonesia we usually call it as PLP. And what I underlined from the presentation early on is pre-service teaching, or PLP2, conduct in regular and national areas, not only in Makassar, but also in Surakarta. And during the pre-service teaching, or PLP, the presenter did a lot of activities like observation, focus group discussion, and the last presenter tell us about the English Day. And for the next session, I give an opportunity for the other participants who have question. Please raise your hand.
Recording in progress.
I would like to ask a question. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Muhammad Hezri, a student of the LG120 of UITM Cawangan Johor. And for my question, I would like to inquire the presenters to explain more on the discovery learning method that was applied in the PLP session, and how did you conduct the method efficiently? Thank you.
Thank you to Haizari from UITM Johor, Malaysia. How about the presenter? You want to answer it directly?
Yes.
Yes, to Sister Rizka Amalia, the time is yours.
Yes. Thanks for giving me this opportunity, and thanks for asking. So, yeah, we use the discover learning model in our activity in PLP. So, in that model, there are some steps that we do. There are stimulation, there are problem statement, data collection, and verification. So, as the start, in the beginning of the class, so we showed a video about dialogue video about offering and suggestion through the PowerPoint, and then after the students watch the video, they are asked to express their opinion regarding the video that boost their sharpening their critical thinking in this way. And then we practicants give some more understanding about the material that relates to this suggestion and offering. And after that, in the problem statement, we made a group. So each group or each pair has 2 students. So we divided them into pairs, and each pair has to pick one lot paper that we have prepared before, and the lot paper containing the subtopic of the suggestion and offering. And after that, each pair were told to create a dialogue based on the topic that they have got. So after they make the dialogue about the topic, they was told to perform in front of the class. And that's for data collection. That data collection steps, the third step. And for the last step is verification. So the payers who get a chance to perform their dialogue that they have made in front of the class, they perform it, and the other payers have to guess
have to guess the dialect that was performed by their friends in front of the class. So that's for the verification. So the pairs that perform have to verificate if the pair that answer that guess the dialect is correct, that was correct or incorrect. I think that's all for the my explanation. I hope it can help. It can help to answer your question. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Sister Rizka Amalia, who has been answered Hazary's question about discovery learning method and how it's applied. And because our time is over for the first presenter, for the next session, I invite the presenter from UITM Johor, Malaysia, to present their material.
Hi, Assalamualaikum, and a very good morning to Professor Dr. Haji Siti Aziza and Ed Studies, PhD, the Head of English Education Department, Faculty of Education and Teacher Training, UIN Alauddin Makassar, Dr. Siti Nurfahmi, the Secretary of English Education Department, Faculty of Education and Teacher Training, UIN Alauddin Makassar, Dr. Tarbiyah Nur, SPD, MHUM, and Ed, the Lecturer of English Education Department, Faculty of Education and Teacher Training, UIN Alauddin Makassar, Ms. Multazam Abu Bakar, SS, and HUM, the Lecturer of English Education Department, Faculty of Education and Teacher Training, UIN Alauddin Makassar, the lecturers, and also all the students. We are from Group E, Semester 5 of Diploma in English for Professional Communication, and today we will be presenting our program that is called Speak Up Event. Next slide, please. So in this presentation, we will be introducing our event, explaining the community issues, stating the executive summary, elaborating on the media and design, the objectives, as well as the need analysis. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Now I shall introduce the teams that are responsible to make the event successful. Our first team will be the PR team, which is led by Azim and his teammates Ain, Diana, Amar, and Haris. Next slide. The media team, which is led by Nisa and her teammates Hazri, Balkis, Jusi, me, Saida, and Aziz. Next slide. The paperwork team, which is led by Afika and her team members Nadira A, Sabrina, Nadira H, and Farah. Next slide. The event and activities team led by Camelia and her teammates Isabel, Irina, Arfi, and Aisha. Next slide. Last but definitely not the least, Basita from the special task and budgeting team with her teammates Abriel, Marsha, Adriana, and Akin. So enough about us. Let's talk about the school and community issues. Thanks. I'll pass the slide to you, dear.
All right, thank you very much, Zaida. Assalamualaikum and hi, I'm Nadira A. Azizan from the paperwork team. Allow me to brief you a bit about the school. As you can see, the school is located at KM 19 Tenang Station, Segamat District. Why is the name called Tenang Station? If you wonder, well, Tenang is because the ambience and the environment is calm, restful. Meanwhile, for our station, is because the place is located near its train station. On the next slide, please. Okay, on the next slide is the community issue happening in the school that we were told about. First is the students' lack of vocabulary and grammar. That basically means they have an incompetent level of English proficiency. This relates to another issue, which is which is that they are located in a rural area. But that what I'm trying to say is that they are less exposed to communicating in English. Next slide. Okay, and now I'll give you a rough explanation on the executive summary by using 5W1H. What is the event that us students of GLG 1205A held was called Speak Up. Why did we have this event and the purpose of it? It is to engage in the school community to improve their public speaking skills, which also at the same time we could apply our leadership throughout the whole project. From that, both parties, the school community and our class receive benefits from the event. Next, where did the event take place at? We decided to have the event at SK Tenang Station, which only takes 30 to 40 minutes from our campus. Next slide. So, who are the people who participated in the event, or in precise, our main target? It was students from year 4 to year 6 of SK Tenang Station. The reason we chose them is that after the discussion between our project leader, Camelia, and the head of the English department from SK Tenang Station, they have concluded that the students lack communication skills in English, especially in terms of vocabulary and public speaking. Moving on to the next one, when did we run the event? It was held on 10th November 2022. Okay, lastly, how the whole class came up with the plan and activities for the program Speak Up. Before the whole plan was made, a brief discussion with the project coordinator was done. Small teams were formed in the first week before the class began according to the project leader. From here, we conducted a brainstorming session and came up with a number of options for our project. After a few days, the project coordinator approved the idea of the Speak Up and proceeded with the next step. The next step is when the PR team and project leader visited the site of our program, which is SK Tenang Station, and met with the head of English department, Mrs. Suhada, for further discussion for the project. After the site visit had been done, each leader from the small groups was called to have a meeting. Finally, the whole thing had been decided, and that is when each team from the small group needed to come up with suitable activities according to the participants' level that was organized later in the program. All right, for the next slide, I'll hand over to Sabrina.
Thank you, Nadira. Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nur Sabrina and I will now present our project's weekly planning. So as you can see at the Gantt chart, the project was planned before the semester started, which is in September. We started our research for the project on week 3 of September after we had an online briefing about our class course. On week 4 of semester, we planned our project by having a meeting among us class members to know what kind of project we would like to do and whether it is suitable or not. In the same week, we also distributed tasks on what we should do for our class project. Next, we had our first meeting on the first week of semester in October with Madam Dia Widewati, who is our program coordinator. During that meeting, we discussed with Madam Dia about what kind of activities we should do for this project. Our project leader and our assistant leader also did a sightseeing at the school in the same week to discuss more details of the project with the head of English department of the school, Ms. Suhada. Moving on, throughout the second week of the semester, our budgeting team created a budget list for the project which involved transportation and gifts for the participants. Our multimedia team too has created a social media to promote our event and a banner for the project event. Going on to the third week of semester, we started to prepare a slide presentation for the idea pitching presentation day by dividing topics to the team task. And on the fourth week, we submitted our paperwork and TAPA form for budgeting approval to the HEA after we have gotten approval from our program coordinator and from Madam Haryati Ahmad, our head of Center Studies. And on the 5th and the 6th weeks of the semester is where our project preparation was done. During those weeks, we will buy the project necessities and prepare the stuff for the activities together with the sorting the group prizes. Our first project session was held on the 3rd of November, which is on the 7th week of the semester. We departed at 7 a.m. by a bus that was provided by our university. The event started at around 8:30 a.m. with an opening ceremony, and our activities then started at 10 a.m. Then our event ended at 1:30 p.m. with a closing ceremony. Next slide, please. In the following week, which is week 8, we will do the documentation for the first session and compile all the feedbacks from the students along with teachers. And for week 9 will be our second session planning. For this session, it will be held virtually. On the 10th week of semester is when our second session will be held. After the second session ended, we will also do the documentation like our first session for the following week and compile all the feedback from the students and teachers. And on week 12 and 13 is where we complete our report, and then we submit our report submission on week 14. And that is all for me. I will pass the site to Amar, which is from the PR team. Thank you.
So for the scheduling progress, before the start of the semester, we will brief about this community project. We then proceed to discuss about this in our class and try to search for possible communities that would like to reach out. On 3 October 2022, after reaching out to multiple potential communities, one of the school, which is SK Tenan Session, was eager in having us as their volunteers. The next day, a representative from PR team, which is public relation team, contacted Mrs. Suhada to set up a face-to-face meeting to further discuss about this project. Next slide, please. Sorry. So on our very first meeting, which was on 11 October, we stated our intentions and the help that we could offer to them. We also explained the kind of activities that we had in mind. Our very first few ideas were rejected by Mrs. Suhada, and she suggested some new ideas, and we tried to improvise the ideas before our next meeting. A week later, we got confirmation from Mrs. Suhada on the finalized activities that is going to be held, and also got a finalized date and the place to have the event. I'll pass on the next slide to Haris Mahadi.
Next slide, please. So thank you, Amma. I will continue with the objectives for the program. So as you all can see, there are 3 main objectives that our class focus on. So the first objective is to let them gain knowledge through various activities. So on the day of the program, we created a lot of activities, and I strongly believe that they gain knowledge. The second objective is assist the students to gain confidence when communicating in English language. So the main reason on why students don't communicate in English is because they lack of confidence. Therefore, the objective of the program is to make sure that the students have the confidence to speak in English language. And the final objective is to enhance the children's listening and speaking skills. So the next slide will be conducted by the multimedia team.
Thank you, Haris. Hello, everyone. Tabitha is again. So Juziani and I, Zaida, will be representing the multimedia team. So in terms of responsibilities, we were tasked to handle the materials needed to advertise and conduct the events, such as the printed materials and the banners. We also tasked to take pictures and videos of the event before, during, and after it has been conducted. And last but not least, we are responsible to handle the PA system during the event and create the e-certificate to be given out to the event's participants.
Thank you, Zaida, for the introduction. Greetings to everyone. I am Juziani, one of the members from the multimedia team. For the program, we have thoughtfully designed a banner and made sure it would blend perfectly with the farm theme. Why do we choose purple as the main color? As generally known, purple is UITM's team color. It is also a cheerful, whimsical, and playful color, which we had given a thought about that it is indeed suitable for the Speak Up program. As we all can see here, we wanted to make this banner appealing to elementary school pupils, hence all the elements being used here. Moving on to the next slide.
Now I shall continue the presentation by showing the Instagram account we created for the Speak Up event. So why did we even create the Instagram account in the first place? Our first reason is to promote our event to the school's residents. They can follow the Instagram account to keep updated on the day-to-day news regarding the Speak Up event. It will in some way keep the hype of the event flame on in the hearts of the student. We will also upload the pictures that are related to the event to the feed and the story section of the Instagram account to keep the Instagram lively and well-managed. It will also show the interaction between the UITM students and the kids of SK Tenastesin, and in this sense, it will immortalize the memory we had while conducting the event. Next slide, please.
Speak Up is a huge program, and after taking the time to plan out the tentative, we would want some evidence of the event once it is over, and taking photographs is incredibly important for documentation and would highlight significant parts of the program, and 3 of our members were tasked as the official photographer. All of us would love to remember all the best parts of the event. However, it can be challenging to remember all the details. Therefore, taking photographs at the program would allow for these memories to be preserved so that we can look back and reflect on them. Next slide.
Now I shall explain on the PA system that we use in conducting the event. So before we start the event, we tasked one of our members, Aziz, to handle the PA system, and we've chosen the one with the most experience so that we could handle it more professionally. He checked the inner workings of the school's PA system and made sure the microphone is audible and ready to use. We made sure to get it tested a few times to check if there was any problem. And in the process, we have gained a lot of help from the SK Tenastes and teachers because they are more in tune with the system than we are. Next slide, please.
Last but not least, we have created the A certificate to be distributed to the participants as a way to express our gratitude for all the pupils. However, this is merely a sample as we still need to go back and modify the design. Now I will pass the next slide to Aisha.
Thank you. Thank you, Zaida Batrisha and Juziani, for the brilliant presentation. Assalamualaikum and good morning. My name is Nur Aisha, and my partner is Isabel Adani. We are the representative speakers of the event and activities team of the Speak Up program. It is a great honor to have the opportunity to be able to do a presentation right here with you all. Without wasting any time, I will start by explaining the tentative of the program. First, before starting the event, the students of Sekolah Kebangsaan Penang Station will have to gather in the school hall at 7:30 in the morning. Afterwards, the MCs introduced the event and its objectives, which were led by Hezi Amri, Azim Yusri, and Farah Batrisha. As a next step, one of the MCs will volunteer to lead the prayer recitation, and we begin the opening ceremony speech led by our assistant project leader, Ain Shahrizal. Next, after the opening ceremony, we did an ice-breaking session. This is to make sure students are comfortable with the kids and the kids enjoyed the activities more with us. Since we have 60 students altogether, each kid was divided into smaller groups and there were 9 groups in total. So roughly, each group will have around 6 to 7 students.
And then the ice-breaking session started with one student telling their name and class. The kids will be asked one random question, for example, what is your favorite toy? What is your favorite stuff that you bought this year? Or what is your favorite holiday? After that, the next student proceeds until the whole group has introduced themselves to their assigned mentors. Lastly, at around 8:40 a.m., we proceeded with our activities by doing an explore race with the kids. Our final list of 5 activities did not come to us overnight. We had plenty of discussions, many brains, and many rejections before deciding on them. The first session was managed by my team, in which we played a game of mismatch cards. With this game, we encouraged their spelling and memorization abilities. Following, the second station was handled by Kairunisa, led with a game of spelling bee in the form of charades. In turn, the activity that they have done in the first station will make them prepared for the second station. Next, station 3 is in the hands of Afika and her teammates with the game of Simon Says, a self-explanatory game that helps generate their listening and speaking skills. Fourthly, a game of Hot Seat, which helps practice speaking skills, was hosted by Basita Amira and her team. Lastly, we end the Explore Circle with a game of broken telephone game handled by Azim Yusri and his team. That is all from on my part. Thank you for listening, everyone. Isabel will now elaborate more about the Explorers and how these 5 stations work.
All right. Thank you, Aisha. Now, moving on to the second half of our part. Based on what Aisha has mentioned beforehand, the first 2 stations are inclusive of speaking skills, whereas the last 3 stations help improve their speaking skills and spelling skills. But why did we choose to focus on these skills? After a thorough discussion with Mrs. Suhada and responses from English teachers from the interview, it came to a general consensus that these kids are struggling most in expressing their ideas in English and are lacking in vocabulary. Now, you must be wondering, how will these activities be executed? Instead of doing one activity at a time, these activities will be carried out simultaneously. In order to cater for kids and their need for constant engagement, we decided to divide ourselves into 5 different stations consisting of 5 different activities, because we think it would be the most effective method. Since these kids will be divided into 6 groups, the first group will move to the first station as their first activity of the Explore race. And once they are done with the activity, each of them will rotate to the next station. How and why did we decide to do it this way? After a few discussions with Mrs. Suhada, we've been informed that these students have short attention spans. Therefore, by doing the activities in stations, they will not get easily distracted. Other than that, according to our initial plan, which is one activity at a time, the event will be dragged longer until 2 p.m. By implementing these stations, we are able to save more time. Once the students are separated into groups, competitiveness will be embedded in them and help the kids to enjoy the activities even more. We've concluded that implementing these explorers would be the best course of action. After the break, the closing ceremony began at 12:30 p.m. The ceremony, next slide, please. Apologies. After the break, the closing ceremony began at 12:30 p.m. The ceremony was led by 2 MCs, Marsha Maisara and myself. The first closing speech was given by the project leader, Camilla Arena, followed by a closing speech given by the head of English department, Mrs. Suhada. To officially end the event, a session for the distribution of prizes to the students and teachers that were involved in the event was done. That is all from me. I will pass the next part to the special task and budgeting team to present.
I'm sorry, I just want to remind you, your group still have 5 minutes more to present your material till the session is ended.
Okay, thank you, Isabel. So hello, I'm Anjana, a representative from the Special Class and Budgeting team. So I want to explain briefly on the need analysis of our project. So our project, so the need of our project is to incorporate communication and language skills for the primary school students. And we want to involve all 60 students to join the program, as well as we want to encourage them to have more confidence in speaking English and to make sure that they use English more often daily. Hence, we decided to conduct a survey regarding the problems that are faced by primary school students in order to improve their communication and language skills. So moving on to the next slide, please. Okay, so these are the responses that we got from the interview that we conducted from the teachers. So from the first chat, we found out that the skills that the students are most lacking in are mostly in their speaking and writing skills. And we also find out that they will most likely to excel in their speaking and writing skills instead of their listening skills. And most of the teachers usually stated that their biggest challenges in teaching English at their school is mostly because of the students' lack of vocabulary, grammar, as well as their lack of confidence to speak in English. Moreover, the teachers also responded that their school's English club is quite active and they also have held specific English events for the students. And and the teachers also mentioned that the students at this school often could mixes between English and Malay in their conversation, or they just don't incorporate English in their conversation at all. So lastly, all of the teachers collectively agreed that having university students or us come to their school can really benefit the students and their English. So that will be all from me. I will now let my team member Basita continue the presentation.
All right. Okay, thank you, Adriana. My name is Basta Amira and I'm from the Special Task and Budgeting team. I will be presenting our budget management. Budget planning is critical for achieving goals and ensuring that we do not spend too much on the funding. After planning and discussing what we needed for the program, such as the gifts, prizes, goodies, and equipment for the program, we did some survey on the prices for each item, and we went to a store called Mr. DIY nearby our campus. We chose the items based on the prices and their suitability. After we did the survey and calculated all the required items, we managed to plan our budget below 500 Malaysian ringgit. However, we suggested more on the top-up paperwork just in case we needed more. So we tried to apply for at least 554 Malaysian ringgit. Unfortunately, it was disapproved by the upper-ups due to a few circumstances. We had to deduct some items from our budget list, such as the banner, and we at least managed to get 404 Malaysian ringgit for the approval of UITM Tabung Amanah Pelajar Academic Trust Funding. Due to this, we had to replan the budgeting list again and proceed with buying the stuff afterwards. Fortunately, we managed to spend less than the amount of money provided in top-up paperwork, which only cost 247 ringgit 70 cents in total, which means we have 56 ringgit 30 cents left for the funding, and we did absolutely well on spending the budget. That is all for me. The presentation will continue with the follow-up activity and our reflection on this project.
Thank you. As for the follow-up activity, we asked the kids to dress as their favorite character, and they will explain to us in English why the character is their favorite. If they do not have access to items for dressing up, they can simply print or draw the character based on their own creativity. Each of the students needs to send us one video, and the duration is 2 minutes long. We can receive the videos through a shared Google Drive using our class Google account. We can pass the drive link to Mrs. Suhada, the English teacher of Sekolah Kebahasaan Ternang Station. She will be able to collect the videos and upload them there. To make it easier on her end, we were thinking of having just a few of the winners send in their videos rather than all 50 students. This will match with the main objective, which is to make the students confident in their speaking skills. Now, You would be wondering, how do we create a sense of continuation from our previous activity? So to answer this question, we noticed that the kids were in character when they reached the broken telephone station because they needed to guess the character or famous people given to them. As a backup plan, the students can dress or draw their favorite farm animals if they don't have costumes for their favorite characters. So that's all for the follow-up activity. Thank you.
Thank you, Aisha. And now I will continue with the challenges faced by our classroom. So the first challenges or problem was the phrases used aren't suitable enough for their ages. So we forgot that we created an activity that used hard or difficult phrases. The second challenges was the kids or students that get easily bored when doing activities. And the third challenge is some are energetic while some students are mostly quiet. So the solution will be continued by Ahmad.
Advance for the kids to understand, we try to talk slowly with them and sometimes we talk in Bahasa Melayu as we deem it is necessary in order for them to understand what we truly mean. Next, as they easily got bored, we improvise our games by switching between games. This means that in a station, there were more than one games that were being played. Finally, we often make the kids participate in each game by asking simple questions about them and about the words that we use in the game. So I'll pass on the next slide to the next presenter.
All right, thank you, Amar. We conducted a survey between ourselves so that we can gather our thoughts and reflections regarding this program. So one of the questions asked in the survey was, after organizing this program, what have we gained from this program? Some of us say that the program indeed actually required a lot of patience, especially when handling kids who have different energies and behaviors. Some of them are quite talkative, which is easy to interact with, and some of them are pretty quiet, which makes it harder to even make them speak. Other than that, we also gain knowledge on how to handle elementary school students, and we gain knowledge on how to actually handle a program. Next is confidence. We gain confidence, especially in speaking with others, as we had to give instruction
I'm
in
sorry,
English.
Sister
And
Bastia Amira, your group presentation time is up.
Okay.
Probably you may make a final statement for your presentation today before we move to question and answer session. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. We gain confidence, especially in speaking with others, as we had to give instructions in English. At the same time, we also careful with the usage of the words. It's either improved students speaking skills and our speaking skills. Last but not least, of course, we gain new experiences. We, of course, have never taught children. We did not have any experience regarding this, especially in teaching elementary school students. This is one of the experience that we gain, and other experience are, of course, organizing the program. That is all from us. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much for the second group presenter from UITM Malaysia, who has presented to us an interested programs under the theme Speak Up, and the aims of these programs is to improve public speaking of the children, and present by Zaida and etc. And for the next session, I give a chance for the other participants who have question for this second group. Please raise your hands. Okay, because we have limited time, for those who have question, you can write down your question in the chat box. Okay. We move to the third presenter from UI and Alauddin Makassar to present their PowerPoint. The time is yours.
Okay, thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable, the Headmaster of English Education Department, Dr. Siti Aziza, the Honorable from the I'm sorry, there's any problem. So, Excellency, to the Head of English Education Department, Professor Dr. Hajah Siti Aziza, MED, ST, PhD. Excellency, to the Head of Academy Language Studies, Universiti Teknologi Mara, Cawangan Johor, Malaysia, Puhan Haryati Ahmad, and the respectable to all the lecturers. So we are from KKN team. So today we're going to explain our project in here about community service, or we can call it KKN or Kuliah Kerja Nyata. So next slide. So these are the presenters from our team. The first there is Muhammad Rizal Taufik Rahman or me. The second there is Toto Gunawan. And the third there is Nur Afni, and the last there is Risma Dewisa Putri. Okay, so disclaimer, these people are from a different team of KKN, but we are united in here to present our own story in KKN. Next, so these are the table of content of our PowerPoints. There is introduction. The second, there is the implementation of KKN, and the last there is documentation. Okay, next to the first part, we're going to explain by Sister Risma Dwi Saputri. Okay, to Sister, time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Well, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. My name is Risma Disaputri, and then this moment I will explain about what is actually or what is the definition of community service, or in Indonesia we call it as kuliah kerja nyata. Okay, as you can see on your screen, the student study service is a concept of linking academic study with the practical experience of community service. Since 1973, KKN, or Student Study Service, has been integrated into the higher education curriculum for Indonesian university, and it became one of the higher education threefold responsibilities beside teaching and conducting research. So it means that KKN, or Student Study Service, we do in university. We don't do in senior high school, elementary school, or junior high school. We only did in university, because this program is, we wanna get the professional graduate after we did this program. And then through the KKN program, or Student Study Service, the students are expected to share their knowledge and help local people to improve their lives and motivate them towards self-development. And then KKN itself is a program that effectively adds students' critics and experiences in realistic way. Why we said like that? Because after we did the program, there are so many things that we can get. There are so many experience that we can feel that. And then the KKN program is now a university required students for diploma and also the one level degree program students. And then this program is held for 45 days, and then I think it's so very short moment under the supervision of the supervisor. Well, the next slide is talking about the purposes of KKN, or the Student Study Service. what is the purpose? What we have to do that? Okay. Before we said that this is the requirements before we go out in our university. There are so many purposes, but I will make it short. There are three parts. The first one is to gain students valuable professional experience by participating in communities that directly discover, formulate, solve, and overcome development problems. Yes, we can learn how to solve the problem because we can relate it to society. The second one is universities receive feedback for inputs that may help increase the relevance of teaching and research to community development needs. Yes, because after we did this program, there are so many inputs that we can hear, that we can listen from a society, that what the things that we can improve after this. And the last one is enable higher education intuition to produce society's technical graduates who are more aware of society's complex situation, movements, and problems in the implementation of both educational and environmental development. So as I said before, there are so many things that we can get after we did this program. For the next material, we'll explained by Toto Gunawan.
Okay, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Sorry, I'm having trouble with the camera. And okay, I will tell you about my journey during the KKN. The journey start on 4th of October 2022. The journey from Makassar to where we serve takes 7 hours by bus and 2 hours by ferry to reach Bontokorang village in the Selayar Island. We departed from Makassar at 12 p.m. and arrived at Biraport in Bulukumba at 5 p.m. Continue by using the ferry. It takes 2 hours to arrive at Pamatata Harbor in Selayar. Then it takes approximately 2 hours to arrive at Bontokorang village. So KKN is aimed at community service so that the universities targets remote areas as a place for students to do community service so that when the community service program takes place, students are required to create work programs that benefits the community. So based on the previous survey, so that in general, the work program in community service programs target the field of health, education, and community welfare. And I prioritize education, including introducing children to basic English. As for this matter, my friends will explain further how the procedure is carried out. So Bontokorang village is one of the remote villages in the Selayar Island, which is hiked up in the mountains with the max road access and surrounded by forest, which is still inhabited by wild animals. With geographical conditions like this, access to and from Bontokorang village is very difficult, especially if you use a car to enter the village. Pass through a road that is at height surrounded by ravines, especially when the road conditions in the village are very dark at night. Also very often encounter red snakes passing by, as well as wild pigs when we are on our way home teaching children who are in the village of Bontokorang. Of course, this is something that is very challenging for me when I'm at the KKN location. Okay, thank you.
Okay, next, who can participate in KKN will be explained by me. So the first, so a student who can join this KKN is a student that the first is registered as an active student. The second, students who are already in the 7th semester or at least have chosen or purchased KKN as subject in that semester. And the second, KKN groups generally consist of various students from across faculties or across majors. Number of campuses allow students to choose their own team from across majors and faculty in certain KKN programs. However, there's also a KKN program whose student groups have been determined by the university. In my own team, there are 12 members, and it's from a different major. There is from English education, Islamic law, economy, Islam, and the other. Next presentation will be delivered by Sister Nurafni.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
So, what we do in the location of KKN?
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. My name is Nur Agni. I'm going to explain about our programs. While we carried out our college assignments, namely the community service or kuliah kerja nyata or KKN assignment, there are 6 programs. There are 6 programs that have been done while doing this community service, namely penyelenggaraan buku jenazah, kerja bakti di TPA dan kuburan, mengajar mengaji di beberapa TPA di Kelurahan Paleko, Festival Anas Soleh, mengajar pelajaran bahasa Inggris di SDN Center Paleko or Elementary School, and English Weekend. And there are 2 KKN programs related to teaching English, namely teaching English subject at SDN Center Paleko or Elementary School, and English Weekend. The first program is teaching English in elementary school. My friend and I taught English at SDN Center Paleko. We taught in grade 6 and 5. My friends and I agreed to share this teaching task. My friend taught in grade 6 and my other friend and I taught in grade 5. At the first meeting, the grade 5 English teacher asked us to continue teaching using the material she taught before, but when we taught, students found it difficult to understand the teaching material, so that at the next meeting, we taught basic English materials such as the alphabet, self-introduction, names of fruits, animals, and days of the week. In the learning process, we provided games to attract students' interest in learning. We didn't forget to give homework assignments so that the student understood the material better. And then English Weekend. My friends and I carried out the English Weekend work program at TPA Nurul Jihad at the Paleko Mosque. We taught English after the students finished learning the Al-Quran. We taught basic English materials such as self-introduction and colors. In the learning process, we also provided games to attract students' interest. That's all from us. Thank you.
I'm sorry, please turn on your microphone first before you talk.
Okay, so the third is the documentation. So as Nur Afni have said, there's 2 work program that relate to the English education. The first is teaching English in elementary school. As you can see in here, we are teaching the 6th grade of SDN Center Paleko. So there's at least 2 class that we taught. Next, English Weekend. So in this second work program, we teach at the TPA Nurul Jihad. So in this English Weekend, the student is reciting Quran. So after the student reciting Quran, they have a free time. So in that free time, we use it to taught them about English. And the next slide, maybe Risma, you can tell what this picture about.
Well, thank you. So as you can see on your screen, this is one of the small part of what did our 45 days for serving the village. So in the first picture, we can see that I took a photo with the school children to carry out our program, namely educational film screening. In which we will direct students to watch about 1 hour duration of the film, then have discussion related to the films they have watched. After that, we ask a few questions that related to the film and give appreciation to students. For example, like I gave a book, bag, pencil, or something like that. And then the second picture is we are carrying out a program in the environment sector, namely taking plant seeds to later give them to society, where we conduct the student service. And then at the time, there were approximately 1,500 seeds that had been distributed to the society. I think that's all. I think there are so many moments that I want to share, but one part of the picture is a small part of documentation that we did during our 45. I return it to Mr. Rizaldi. Thank you.
Okay, next, maybe Brother Tata Gunawan, you can tell this picture to our friends.
Okay. Maybe this is an illustration of how difficult access to Bontokoran village. The damaged roads are also very slippery during the rainy season. Here we can see how a car has difficulty climbing on the road. So when night falls, the road condition in the village will be very dark without any moonlight, because they are blocked by large trees along the ways. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think that's all from our team. So if you have any question or suggestion, you can ask to us. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the third group presenter, that is from UI and Alauddin Makassar, who has been present to us about an interested topic, namely community service, student study service, or in Indonesia, we usually call it as KKN. So for those who have question, please raise your hand and deliver your question. Okay, because there's no question so far, and if later you have question for this third group, you can write down in the chat box. I will move to the last presenter for today, that is from UITM Malaysia. Yes, the time is yours.
All right. Am I clear? All right. Assalamualaikum a bit to all the lecturers, as well as friends from both UI and Alauddin, Indonesia, as well as UITM Islamic. My name is Nurlila Madiha, and we'll start the presentation for my class, which is GLG 1205B. Now, we have heard some wonderful community engagement ideas from others, and I hope ours, which is my class, will be perceived the same. Now, let's just dive right into our presentation, shall we? So, here we have the committee members, and some of the names here will be presenting today as well. I'll just briefly introduce the top 5 of the higher committee members, which includes our lecturer, Madam Sophia, I, Leila Madiha, as the project leader, and I was helped closely by my assistant, Joshua Kadam, Aini Suraya as my secretary, and not to forget, I know Mardia as our trusted treasurer. Okay, so next slide, please. Now that we have that covered, we shall now move on to the executive summary of our project by answering the WH questions. So the first WH question is what? What is our project? Our committee project is called Magical English. We went with the name Magical English as we aim to change the idea among students that the English language is hard by telling them that the language is in fact magical instead of something that's hard for them. This program features a variety of activities relating to the English language, and later we'll get to see a closer look on these activities. Now, as to why, we were told by the teachers regarding the issues faced regarding the English proficiency and literacy of the students through a survey questionnaire that we sent to the school weeks prior to the program. Hence, we decided to step in and help in improving the issue with our activities. Our third question, which is where, our event took place at the SK Sepinang, Johor. We utilized the hall for the standard 4 and 5 students, and we also used the standard 6 classroom for the standard 6 activities. Now, next slide, please. Since we are doing the program at SK Sepinang, our students are the SK Sepinang students, and these students are level 2 students, and they range around the ages of 10 to 12 years old, and in total there are about 53 of them. And we were told 28 of them really needed our help. And when was this activity program being conducted? Well, Magical English took place on 2 Wednesdays, which are on the 30th November as well as the 7th of December. And we had the closing ceremony on the 8th of November, which is a Thursday. Now I'll pass the presentation to my friend Aino Mardia for the community issue.
All right, thank you, Leila Madiha. First and foremost, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Nur Ainul Mardia, and I am the treasurer for this program. And today I will be presenting the issues faced by the community. First and foremost, as you can see here, the community itself, which are the students of SK Sepinang, are less exposed to English-speaking communities. This basically, it causes them to not have as much experience with the English language outside of their English class. Considering that they are only learning English during the sole period of their class, the exposure alone, it's not really enough to bring the utmost sense of interest that they have for the English language. Secondly, these students view English as a challenge. This is once again due to them only having to learn and use English inside of a classroom. Basically, these students, they are only studying for their grades and not for their own personal skill. Not only are they solely on the track of studying for their grades, they are also facing an issue where the community around them is not in any way English driven. The community surrounding the area of the school depends on the wonders of speaking in Malay and very rarely in English. This factor, I believe, and we believe, is one of the most vital in determining the equity of their English skills as a whole. The next issue that the students face is that they are afraid of making mistakes. Why? Well, maybe they are shy and maybe they are afraid that people will laugh at them, or maybe they feel like if they use English, they will be misjudged and get a poor appreciation due to their accent, thus making them not want to converse in English as they are afraid of making mistakes. Lastly, other than the fact that the students view English as a challenge, they also view English as a non-valuable skill. Now, let me elaborate more on this. The English language is nowadays is also known as the world language. And these students, which are 10 to 12-year-olds, of course, they are still students, they are young, and they are still living in a bubble where they haven't really experienced the real world yet. They haven't been in situations where they need to use the language. For example, situations such as job interviews, job requirements, course requirements, networking, and even university presentations. And that is why we are here to help them use more English in their daily life. I think that is all from me. I will pass the presentation to the next presenter. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Aino. Please allow me to introduce myself. Hello, everyone. My name is Aini Siraya. So, we have worked with Sekolah Kebangsaan Sepinang as part of our community project, as was previously mentioned. Permit me to give you a brief overview of the institution. Change SK Sepinang is primarily a primary school. Its pupil range in age from 7 to 12 years old. It is situated in Kampung Sepinang, which is about a half an hour drive from UITM Sudamat. Given the size of the school, there are only 13 total of teachers and around 130 total of pupils. You can also see that we have included the official school logo on this slide. Following that, we have the profile of the school. It should be noted that although SK Sepinang has a variety of social media profiles, including a YouTube channel, a blog, and a Facebook page, it does not have an official Facebook group under the supervision of its representative. There isn't much that can be said about the account itself because it is not maintained by the school's administration, other than to point out the apparent absence of English usage at the school as a whole. As a side note, they do host events for the school, but not ones associated with English-related programs. I think we do in some way contributed to that. Their post made it clear how little English is spoken at the school. The only English-related video on their YouTube channel is the public speaking demonstration, and the rest are all Malay book reviews. They also have a blog, which is where we obtain our information. Hopefully, with the help of our program, they will be able to update their blog more often in both English and Malay. That concludes my presentation. I'll move aside to make room for the next speaker.
Okay. Thank you, Aini. Right. Hi, Assalamualaikum to everyone. My name is Ain Shavika and I am the leader of the multimedia team. Now that I have introduced myself, I will now explain a little bit about what my team and I have designed throughout the program. Okay, first we have the banner. Before that, I'm not going to go into great detail about the banner, so I'll just go over it briefly. As you can see, we have the name of our program, Magical English, and then we have our UITM logo and also the school's SK Sepinang's logo. And then we also have the details on what we have in this program, as well as the date, time, and location. Okay, so this is how the banner appears in real life or after it has been printed. Our sincere gratitude to the finance team for bringing this banner to life. Second, we have report card. Okay, the purpose of this report card is to record their accomplishments and to assign grades or points after they have completed their activities. You can see the 6 activities on the back of the report card. The activities will be described in more detail by our speakers later. And the stars icon on the report card will be filled in by us as their marks. The points are where we will stamp the stamp, followed by the performance percentage, and finally our comments for the kids. Next slide. And of course, I want to show you how the report card looks after being printed. We printed it on hard color paper, which is how we were able to give the kids colorful report cards. And as I mentioned on the slides before, we can see that my classmates are busy filling up the children's points and marks into the report cards. And that's the end of my part. I'll be passing the presentation to the next speaker, Fatima. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ain. Hello, Assalamualaikum everyone. I'm Fatima from the logistics team. So next slide, please. The first question, which we can consider to be the most important question to us as school, is what are the problems faced by students for the English language subject? We have 2 respondents from the school. They stated that the students experience difficulties with pronunciation, reading as in general, reading long text, not understanding what they read, or we call it as reading comprehension, bad handwriting, writing as in general, and also spelling. After our visit to the school, we can conclude that the 58 students of SK Sepinang do have trouble with most of the said problems. Next, we asked the school about the amount of students that face these problems. So the original response was 28 students, but later on, we agreed on 58 students to include both advanced and poorer students. Next slide. The school suggested that we come once or twice a week within a month to help the students overcome the problems. But after the discussion with the teachers, we agreed on meeting once a week, and the dates were on the 30th of November, 7th December, and the closing ceremony on 8th of December. Next slide. Next, we asked the school what they think we can help, and their responses were heavy on guided writing and also guided reading, and also one on personal coaching. So we ended up doing most of these and have definitely seen improvement with the students' English. So that's all from me. The next slide will be presented by the next respective person.
Next slide, please. Assalamualaikum and good day, everyone. I, Shanas Rasulan, will be explaining the first 3 activities of our event, which are called Save the Pengu, One Word Story, and Caterpillar Sentence. I will start by explaining the first activity, Save the Pengu. We have created a better and more appropriate name for this game. Rather than sticking with the traditional and outdated name of Hangman, in order to save the penguin from perishing in the ice, students must correctly guess simple idioms, sentences, phrases, or even words. As an addition to the kids' English vocabulary, we will collectively explain to them what the definition of the provided response means. Through our observation, this was one of the games that the students were particularly excited about, as the thrill of trying to save the pengu excites them. The second activity is a game of one-word story. A scenario was presented to a group of students and they had to make a story using just one word from each of us. They must employ exact and accurate grammar in the sentences they construct from the group's ideas. Any grammar errors, for example, will result in a loss of group points. The third activity was Caterpillar Sentence. Caterpillar Sentence is a straightforward sentence completion exercise aimed to promote student interaction while giving them the chance to practice and improve their language skills. This activity is somewhat like the one-word story, but instead of only saying one word, it's a whole sentence. The students were not too fond of this game as it was quite difficult for them. However, they did manage to try and participate in it. The next 3 activities will be explained by Leila.
All right, thank you, Shanas. Now, we have here 3 activities, which are reading time, run towards the truth, and also find the right. So reading time is basically a 10 to 20 minutes of reading time spent by students in their groups. This short story is prepared by the students of our class, which is GLG 1205B, and these short stories are approved by Madam Sari as well as the school. The students are allowed to ask questions regarding the school or even words or phrases that they do not understand. Apologies on that. Right. So Run Towards the Truth is a true or false game, and we aim to add Wait, am I back online? I am. Okay. I'm so sorry about that. What was I? Okay. Let me just explain back. Oh. It's unmute. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Let me just re-explain what Run Towards the Truth is. Run Towards the Truth is a little
among students, and these students will be asked a series of questions in relation to the short story they read during the reading time. It's basically a race between the students, and they're only allowed to move forward if they get a correct answer.
And
our last, sorry. And our last activity, which is find a rhyme, this is where the students will be given a word and they would need to find the word that rhymes with the given word from the short story that they have read. And that's all for me. Our next slide is basically a montage video showing how things went during the 2 days activity.
Di mana?
Wow, thank you for the video. So now I will be explaining our tentative. This is our final tentative as the activities in our initial tentative was quite rushed. So we were advised to divide it by half and have 3 activities played on the first day and the latter 3 activities on the second day. So for our first day, which is on the 30th of November 2020, the first thing we have listed is to gather the students in the hall. Next, we introduced them to our project members so they can recognize each of us, and we started briefing them of what was to be expected for the first day event. A total of 53 level 2 students were divided into 6 smaller groups.
I'm sorry, I just want to remind you, you just only have 5 minutes more to present your material, and please explain it briefly to make the time interesting.
Sorry about that. So for our first day, the first thing we have listed is to gather the students in the hall. Next, we introduce them to our project members so they can recognize each of us, and we started briefing them of what was to be expected for the first day event. A total of 53 level 2 students were divided into 6 smaller groups to participate in 3 different activities. In these small groups, we made sure that half of it would be the weekend ones so that we could pay more attention to them. For our Wednesday activities, we had Save the Pengu, One Word Story, and Caterpillar Sentence. After that was just to wrap up and close up the first day event. Next slide, please. The program tentative for our second day was basically the same as the first. However, the 3 activities are completely different from the first day. The activities were reading time, run towards truth, and find the rhyme. Next slide, please. For the last day of our event, there were not any activities done by the students, as we already planned that the last day would be the closing event. There were speeches from Leila Madiha, our project leader, and SK Sepinang's headmaster, Encik Zainal bin Yahaya. Then the prize giving ceremony, which aims to reward the students for their hard work and participation. In between both of these programs, there was a magic trick done by our own member, Sarah Nurhana, just to lighten things up for the students and grab their attention. After the prize giving ceremony, there were 3 individual prizes for the most active students. It was won by Nur Damia, Muhammad Fahmi, and Daniel Naban. Next, we compiled and presented a montage of the first 2 days we were there. Then, token of appreciations were given to our lecturer, Madam Zarik, and the headmaster of SK Sepinang, Encik Zainal. Before our last day ended, we had a photo session with everyone involved in the event. And that is all from me. Thank you for listening, and I will be passing you on to the next speaker.
All right, thank you, Shanas. I'm Nur Asila Yasmin, and I'm going to present to you about the milestone of our program planning. Next slide. So first of the week, we contacted the school and sending the survey form on week 1. And at the same week, we also received the response of the survey from the school. We've been brainstorming the program ideas from week 1 till week 4. And lastly, we send the approval of the ideas proposed to the school. And on week 4, we received the approval from the school. And next slide. Okay, on week 5, we started to create the banner for the program that we just showed you, and also discussing the activities and flow of the program. Later on week 6, we submitted the paperwork to the UITM Academic Affairs, and at the same time, on that week, we received the approval. Then, on the first session we held was on week 7, and lastly, our second session and also closing ceremony for the program are on week 8. And for the next presentation, I'll hand it over to Joshua.
Apologies from our side. There's a problem regarding the internet connection in this place. So for our group reflection, for the strength that we have in total, are first our knowledge in English, which is very, very helpful when it comes to improvising the activities, wherein some of the activities are quite difficult for the students, especially students from standard 4 and standard 5. Regarding the one-word story, where the students have some difficulties when it comes to well, with the grammar and like adding more words into the story, like most of the students, they add full stop whenever they want to. Therefore, we have decided to improvise and change the style of the game. And second, we have creativity in delivering knowledge through fun activities. It was at first it was a bumpy ride. However, it became well, considering the fact that those students are still new and they still do not know us well. And when we communicate with them further and we give amazing reactions to them, they were surprised and we got along together well. And third, we have good event management, communication, and teamwork among peers. Well, considering we've been together since the first semester, and we have been together for 4 semesters now, we have a good chemistry within each other, and we could manage things properly. Now, moving on to the weaknesses. The first one is obviously our lack of teaching experience, and second, low experience in engaging with children at that age. Well, those children are from 10 to 12 years old. Therefore, it is pretty difficult to communicate with them and also to ask them to do some tasks properly, as they are busy with their friends in general. Now, moving on to the next page. Okay, thank you. What can be improved? The first thing that we have to improve is the difficulty level of the selected games. It is quite difficult for students from standard 4 and 5, although it is easy for us, obviously, but for them it is difficult, and we had to improvise during that day itself. Therefore, I would say we have to lower the difficulty level of the selected
I'm sorry, Mr.
games,
Nur, I know
or
your
at least
presentation
just
time is up.
give them some slack. And the next one is extra materials provided for the students. Although this is actually, we barely exceeded the amount of materials provided, and therefore we need to improve when it comes to financing, so that we have extra things just in case we have any trouble regarding the materials or whatsoever. And last but not least, the timeline for the program itself. We were actually chasing time because those students are a little bit too hard to manage. Therefore, I would say, although it was pretty difficult to handle them, however, we managed to follow the timeline and we managed to follow the flow and the schedule. And before we wrap this presentation, let's move on to the Q&A session. Next slide, please.
Okay, I think your time is up, and I move to the next session, that is question and answer session for the last group. We move to the third group because one of the participants has question for the third group. I invite the third group from UI and Alauddin Makassar to answer it first.
Well, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. My name is Rismandi Saputri, and then I will answer of the question. So overall, disclaimer, in Indonesia consists of many regions, and this KKN program was carried out in several areas, which incidentally were classes we had just visited. And what's more, in one team of the KKN or student service, team, there are 7 to 12 people who have different majors, different characters too, but are united in one place to serve the community, to serve the society. In addition to the character adjustment that we have to face, adaptation to the area where we carry out the KKN is also one of the problems that we have to face, where the air is air that we have just experienced. And then also we feel the new adaptation, adapting to people who have a different language to us. And because we have different language, sometimes we cannot reach the purpose of communication due to message we don't understand, and vice versa, of course. And then there are also problems with students while we teach at school. For example, such as a lack of desire to learn, because according to them, learning English is something a complicated subject. And then if we're talking about the solution, okay, for the solution that I give for the first problem that we face is we provide to the, we instill in ourselves that this moment is only felt once in a lifetime. So you are like or not, you have to through that moment. And then we have to talking to ourselves firstly that, okay, this moment is once in a lifetime, so we have to adapt it, we have to love it, we have to accept it. And then the next solution that we give is that we provide to students who sometimes don't want to learn English, is to create a method, is create a unique technique that can interest them. For example, like playing a games before class starts, or maybe just we don't study based on their book, but we study based on their likes, their hobbies, or their family, their cartoons, or something like that. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you. I'll return it to Asma.
Thank you so much for the third group. And how about the other other participants? Anyone have question for the last group before we close our programs today, our agendas today? Okay, I think that's no more question for this session. Before we close our program, I invite you guys to open your cameras on because I want to take a picture documentation.
All right, everybody. Say cheese. Okay, one more time. Cheese.
Okay, it's done. I think that's all our whole agendas for today, and it still will be continued at Wednesday, 14 December 2022. And I would like to say thank you to the head of English Education Department, UIN Alauddin Makassar, Professor Dr. Haji Siti Azizah, MED, SD, PhD, the head of Academic Language Studies, Puan Maharani Ahmad from UITM Johor, Malaysia, all the lecturers, all the presenters, and also all the participants who's joining in this agendas today in international seminar on community engagement ideas and practice. I do apologize for any shortcomings during the session because the perfection just belongs to Allah. I am Asma Nurul Inaya as your moderator and also your master of ceremonies today. Say goodbye. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for all. Yeah, it's a good job. Okay, thank you. I think we have to move. So.